anybody object to saying their first name, one after the other?
31 days after abandoning my boat miles off the Florida coast during the run-up to Hurricane Milton, we have our first How Not to Sailor Atlanta meetup.
First name.
Bill.
Neil.
Becky.
Carnes.
Reed.
Tanya.
And we talk about the odds that my sailboat has survived going adrift during the storm.
I don't think the dude I hired in Key West was very optimistic. But, yeah, he's like, I did this once before, we didn't find anything.
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take my money.
I figure my beloved floating adventure palace will show up at some point. But will she be in one piece and unmolested? Probably not.
Somebody will. I mean, it may turn out eventually.
Yeah, somewhere in some condition.
It's still just hard to believe that it's gone.
At this point, I've started to come around to the idea that my sailboat is gone. As our friend Bill puts it,
Then you finally start to work into your mind, you know what, this is done. We've got to turn the page and move on with something else. If it's another boat, if it's not another boat, whatever it is, that's the point that I think that you're at.
I mentioned my suspicion that Jacie Sails has wound up somewhere near the Everglades, to which our friend Bill jokes that we should rent an airboat for a few weeks.
I mean, I'm all right with that.
You're about to retire? What else you got to do?
I did.
You did officially?
Yeah, October 1st was my first day out.
I'm going to ask you to hold that thought about our friend Bill having recently retired. Because on Wednesday, November 13th, 35 days after losing Jacie Sails, I got a voicemail.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rogers. This is Ensign Agar with the U.S. Coast Guard calling about your vessel, Jacie Sails. The vessel was found recently, and we'd like to get back in contact with you.
Needless to say, I wasted no time in getting back with him, especially when I noticed that the voicemail was from the day before.
Yes, hi, I'm just returning a call. It sounds like you found my vessel. Jacie Sails.
Apparently a Navy helicopter had found my boat and notified the Coast Guard. And she wasn't aground near the Everglades, as I figured.
I'm ready to copy.
Although I'd left Jacie Sails 35 miles north of Key West, she was found 5 miles north of Key West, in 3 or 4 feet of water between Bay Keys and West Harbor Key.
And appreciate your patience. Do you have any info on the condition?
I'm processing as fast as I can, but my mind is going to whether she's survived the storm, first of all, and then whether she's been stripped of everything of value.
Curious if she, any chance she came to anchor, or whether she's hard aground on her side into the shallows, or what's going on.
As it turns out, it seems like she's aground in soft mud, and not only that, it seems like they have photos of her.
Aground, but good, okay. Any chance you could email me any photos, or?
Within minutes, I received 3 pictures of Jacie Sails, clearly leaning to one side, some damage to the bimini awning over the cockpit, but otherwise looking pretty good.
Thank you, and y'all stay safe. I appreciate it.
My boat has survived Hurricane Milton and 35 days adrift.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding.
You're really not kidding?
I am not kidding.
Seriously.
The first person I call is Tanya, who, if you've heard the podcast before, you may know as the Admiral.
The position they gave is like 5 miles north of Key West.
What? So it made it to Key West. You just didn't.
Something like that.
You're not really me, right?
I would not do that about this.
I gather that many of the folks who work with the Admiral were immediately aware of the good news, having heard her side of the conversation from down the hall.
Okay, so it's 5 miles from Key West?
I just figured the position they gave me, and yes, that's what I got.
What condition is it in?
It is aground, but he said it seemed to be good condition, and so I am going to call Boat US and see if we can get her towed in.
So you're going to Key West?
Got that right?
Now, right?
Yes, very rapidly.
So, after talking with Towboat US and making arrangements to tow Jacie sails to a marina, and talking with Boat US Claims Department to let them know my vessel had been found, I got on a plane to Key West the next day and went straight to the marina on Stock Island where Jacie sails was to be towed. I think of a sailboat as a fairly simple system, and I suppose it is compared to an electric car, for example, or adjustable rate mortgages. But there are still a lot of things that can fail if, say, your boat goes floating around the Florida Keys for a month. Are the batteries dead? I know 2 of the 3 sails are toast, and since I ran the fuel tank dry, I know I'm going to have to bleed the engine to get rid of air pockets before it'll run, at the very least. And that assumes that there aren't any holes in the hull, especially since the bilge pump probably hasn't had any power for weeks. So, yeah, I'm kind of nervous to see how she's doing. At the boatyard, I roll my little carry-on luggage by the marina office and down toward the haul-out basin, looking for where Towboat US is going to be bringing my boat.
Towboat US. I got a boat coming in. The Hunter? Yes, sir. 37?
I'd wanted to go out with the towboat, but they wanted to grab Jacie sails while the tide was favorable, and I was all about that. I couldn't tell from the photos whether any scavengers had been aboard, but I wanted to get hold of my boat as quickly as possible. And so, 37 days after abandoning Jacie sails in the Gulf, I watched as a red and white towboat brought her up Safe Harbor Channel.
And there she is. Towboat US boat has her abreast there. I think they may be about to do a side tie to get her in toward the basin here. She looks good. She's afloat. Bimini looks a little janked as I expected, but there's the radar, solar panel. The jib seems furled up proper. She's riding the water like she's supposed to.
After waiting for a big catamaran to get towed out of the haul-out basin, Ryan puts my sailboat up to the seawall as nice as you please.
Appreciate you.
Apparently they're not going to haul her out until the morning, but here she is, looking unexpectedly normal.
And the rudder looks intact. There is a rudder I see below the stern, so that's good. Let's see what we got here. Very salty lock. Holy f***ing shit. Well, there's the cabin. Looks like tools are intact. Yes, sir. Radio's intact. F***ing A. Wow.
So my boat was finally tied up safe and sound at the boatyard haul-out basin, and she seems to be in surprisingly good shape. But you know how that goes. And this is where we'd normally have the mid-roll ad, where I'd mention how you can join the How Not to Sail Patreon crew for as little as $3 a month. But today is a little different, for a couple of reasons. One is, I'm in Annapolis today, God willing, hoisting an adult beverage with some How Not to Sailors at our Annapolis meetup. And also, I have a special announcement. After 68 episodes of How Not to Sail, which are actually more like 80 episodes if you count all the extra ones, I'm launching a new podcast, a daily podcast. The How Not to Sail Minute will appear in your pod player and at hownottosail.com every weekday with your daily dose of cruising wisdom, humor, and maybe the occasional useful insight from the same alleged mind who brought you this podcast. No, this one's not going anywhere, but I wanted to kind of challenge myself to a little daily writing nugget, and I hope you like it. So check out the How Not to Sail Minute at, well, hownottosail.com/minute, or wherever you get your favorite pods. And let me know what you think. That's hownottosale.com/minute. But meanwhile, I believe we left my boat on the seawall at the boatyard, waiting to get hauled out. Friday morning, they hoisted my boat out of the water and put her on jack stands in the boatyard, which, if you haven't seen, is quite something. And it's here, now that I have shore power and some coffee and breakfast in me, that I take a critical look at what I've got.
This is the compartment where I had the spot messenger where the batteries ran out. Just left it in here since it's open to the sky.
My spot messenger personal locator beacon is right where I left it on the foredeck. Boy, do I wish I had the track of my boat over the last month. But even with lithium AAA batteries, it only lasts for a couple of days before you need to replace them.
Put this winch handle back where it goes.
Oops, that's a rookie mistake. But other than the bimini and the sail covers, which got torn a bit from tropical storm force winds, plus a damaged upper port lifeline and some minor cosmetic damage to the hull above the waterline, the outside of the boat looks ridiculously good for what she's been through.
Speaking of clothes, I found one of my prized shirts.
The inside of the boat looks good too, other than the remnants of my hasty retreat all being tumbled about.
Petrified sock I just picked up off the floor. What do we got here?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to see if you had somebody that could do sail repair.
And now that I have a bead on what shape my boat is in, it's time to do two things. Start calling people who can repair and replace things.
Or any way to get
Hello,
any more
hey, is this Alan?
to Key West. My boat was just found after 35 days.
And find a crewmate to hopefully help me take Jacie Sails back north to her marina.
Whole survey.
Call me an optimist.
Hello?
Hello, what is happening?
I knew our friend Bill had some free time.
You mind if I record this call?
Are you going to be okay, or do you want me to call you when I get home?
That depends. I
So
don't
Bill,
know.
not knowing my complete lack of expertise in losing a boat in a hurricane and finding her again, jumped at the chance to join me on this potentially perilous quest.
But I was essentially thinking maybe you could come down Wednesday, and then we could...
Oops, looks like I've got to get to Annapolis for the meetup, so I need to leave it right there for the moment. I wanted to do some kind of Python-esque ending like, and so Sir Failsalot mounted his trusty Chrysler and headed north. But the YouTubes would probably get pissed off at me. So for now, I'll see you at Davis's Pub today, Friday the 10th at 5 p.m., and Bill and I will be back next episode. And we're not out of the weeds yet. In fact, Bill hasn't even arrived at Stock Island yet in our story. I haven't made my long-ass trip up to Key Largo and Miami and Key Largo and back. The yard manager hasn't threatened to splash me before the work is done, and I haven't gotten the boat surveyed or discovered that the engine is cranky. Or not cranky, as the case might be. But we'll get to that next time. So meanwhile, check out the How Not to Sail Minute wherever you listen to your favorite pods, or at hownottosale.com/minute. Thanks as always to our awesome Patreon crew, several of whom I hope to see today at the pub. And I'll see you next time on How Not to Sail. Screwing up is part of cruising. Let me show you how.
Balls. Huh? Balls.